3 is the magic number, and the magic number is 3. It's exactly 3 people it took to screw Cody Rhodes over at WrestleMania, and it is 3 of the ministry members who are now in the house. It's me, Double V, Nico Luro. What up, ministry?
And it is the new reigning, defending, undisputed MOW champ, the ultimate Finesse Simsy, the one.
Acknowledge him.
Acknowledged.
Yeah, it's me, Big Tone, in the zone.
So we are here with our final show of season 2, and we've got a new champion to my left here. My man Leon took it. I'm really burning, finishing second, obviously, the first of the losers, of course. It was decided pretty much during the Sheamus, Drew, and Gunther match. Because of what was at stake in that match, I have to say I was literally standing for the whole match in the SoFi Stadium. Like when Sheamus nearly got that pinball, I was like, fucking hell, Leon and I are going to go to the final. Nope. You got it then and there. But yeah, so it is our last show of the season. We got a lot to talk about. Jesus. But we're going to try and keep it tight for y'all as always. We've got to do our Mania recap. We've got to talk about the return of Austin Theory's dad. We've got to talk about what we think the future holds for the stars that featured on WWE, which is going to be very interesting considering Daddy's home. And we're going to also try and, because I'm not going to be positive on this show for most parts, I'm not going to lie. And we've got to finish on a positive, though, because we've got a massive pay-per-view that was announced literally yesterday coming to the UK, which is going to be fucking sick. But, boys, what did we think of Mania? Talk to me. How was it being at home at Big Tones?
You want to go first or I go first?
I'll drop some. Well, basically, to put it in a nutshell, night 1, amazing. Night 2, whoa. It was like, whoa. I mean, in terms of our predictions and stuff, like, oh yeah, got to represent the 2 clean sweeps as well. Hell yeah.
It's free.
I got night 1 and night 2 all clean sweep.
And the last paper.
But the reason why is because I tried so hard not to think with my heart. I was really thinking with my head, and the reason being is because I kept hearing all these rumors about Raw being like one of the best Raws after WrestleManias ever. Like it's going to be massive. There's possibly going to be new faces, new shows, and all that kind of stuff. Possible heel turns and stuff, but not like the one that we expected. But yeah, it was good in terms of how I predicted it, but it was shocking as to how it happened. But as for me, night 1 was the best night in my eyes, most definitely.
Yeah. Wow. Damn. Yeah. I mean, I remember a lot of what you said. Going into this WrestleMania, I was looking at the card and I was thinking for sure we're going to get a better show than last year. Yeah, especially with the main event, like of night 2. I thought there's no way that this card isn't going to be better. And to be honest, night 1, we was on a high. Yeah, in this living room, we was buzzing. It was a good moment. It had some great matches. And you know what? We was waiting for night 2. And then it's funny because the same energy just was not there for night 2.
It wasn't.
For night 1. It was deflated. It was going down. Not to say night 2 didn't have some good matches. It really did.
Yeah.
But again, you know, you sent the crowd home unhappy, man. Because like I as much as I respect the fact that so a lot of people actually did want to see Roman retain. 2 was sitting in the living room with me. But I just think that was a perfect moment, really. Like, again, there wasn't a bigger venue you could do it than at WrestleMania. The story was set up. You know, people keep saying that, you know, it wasn't built in. Yeah, and like it hasn't been built up enough to like win that match. Like, I partially agree with that, but again, it's 20 years in the making, this story. You can pull the trigger at any time. It would have been fine. That was the moment to do it, really. And you didn't. You sent everyone home sad. Yeah, but what can you say?
Another thing I would add here is, well, night one was so good that it didn't even feel like 4 hours. Like before we knew it, there was calling the main event, which was the tag team, the undisputed tag team championships between the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. We were like, oh my gosh, it's the main event already. Night two felt like it was being dragged. And not only that, there was so much time being wasted that Bobby Lashley could have got a spot. You know, it was a little bit of a disrespect for him to just come out and hold some Kinder Surprise trophy, and then to just to go back to the back. We know all the preparations for WrestleMania. We know people are backstage, even people who are not billed to be on the actual show. They're backstage. And you know, he had such a not a hard year, but he's had such he's had such a fluent year, and that's the payment that he got for it. He changed script when he had to change script. He followed suit where he had to follow suit. He basically did everything that Triple H asked of him, only for him to not even feature on WrestleMania. Really, he was on SmackDown. That was Bobby Lashley, former WWE champion. That was his WrestleMania moment. And the other moment where he just got to go out literally to like the stage and then just to go back out again. It was a bit of a disrespect. So many moments.
A huge disrespect.
So many moments. So many moments where, sorry, I was going to say, so many moments where like different things could have happened. And the only answer I have for that is maybe, because of how what we're going to cover next, maybe there were things planned, but Vince obviously dropped his anchor in it, and it fucked shit up. I think that plans were changed on the fly on WrestleMania just as well as Raw, but it was a bit of a deflator. Yeah, it's like night two is like pumping up a slow puncher on a tire, knowing that it's going to deflate by the next day, and that's exactly what it was. Sorry, that's it. Allow Nico to at least say something.
So hold on, like before you get into the long rant, which is well deserved, Nico, because I especially feel it for you, and then the tech in it. Yeah, I mean, whatever we felt must be magnified about 2,500 times for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like guys like LA Knight, why couldn't you give him the moment? Yeah, like you had like so many things where you were stalling for time. You was showing like bare adverts and everything that we didn't need to see. You've already shown them. You showing what happened last night on night two. Why are you doing that when you got like a whole locker room full of backstage? That whole Andre the Giant Battle Royal could have been in that segment. Yeah,
it could.
And then could have got his moment, like this pop. Like, you know, like just do a bit of charity, you know. Let the women have a bit more time, yeah. Let them do something, put on the epic. Let someone just have a WrestleMania moment. Have a proper surprise. We didn't get any of that. But now, without further ado, I know as much as we was hurt, the man that's about to speak is going to be hurting him that much more.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, let me start on a positive, because there is something magical about WrestleMania when you go there. Right from the get-go, you know what it's like when we were at Clash and you instantly start connecting with people and you instantly start feeling like, okay, I'm amongst my homies here. I'm amongst the people who I share a passion with. And there's something, just like going to a stand-up comedy gig, there is something monumentally healthy for the soul and for the mind about being with a large group of people all loving the same thing. And you felt that the moment you arrived at the car park at the SoFi Stadium. I mean, it even started well, because we were like queuing for these T-shirts and stuff at one of the merch places outside. And the crazy thing is, this is a fun little story. These two like Bible bashers, you know, the God worshippers came and literally put these huge like God is going to kill you, like pegs right by the merch truck, and started screaming abuse at us. Now, what's interesting, and I'll build on this in a moment, is that unlike the English, the American fans tend to just put their heads down. They don't get that rowdy. So then the Tech and I look at each other and we're like, we're going to fuck with these guys, right? And so this guy's just like quoting like lines from the Bible and stuff. And I just scream at him, Austin 3:16. And he sort of said, I bet you can't even quote me Austin 3:16 from the Bible. I went, oh, I can. I just kicked your ass. And then each time he's saying a new line like, did you know about this? I go, oh, what? Blah, blah, blah. What? Literally. So we started just two of us. And then we had like a group of 20, 30 people watting the crazy Catholics. And then from that, it was like them saying that, oh, you're fake sport shit. And then we screamed, it was like, you believe in a talking snake. You believe in a reincarnation, bruv, jog on. And then the security guys arrived. And of course, we all did a na, 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 hey, 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 goodbye. So right from the get-go, before we've even gone in the stadium, there was a real feel-good factor. It was exciting. And you remember the first time we all went to the O2 and saw the ring? And we were all like, okay, shit, this is quite special. Add 1,000 times to that. When I know I sent you guys a video, but when you walk out, like the camera does not do that fucking stadium justice. When you walk out into it, this is not a stadium. This thing is a fucking coliseum. Like, and you sort of look up and you see how big those LED panels they've got up, and you're like, okay, well, this is an event. Like, this is bigger than any production I've ever seen in my life. And you really do kind of like live in that moment. And we were there 3 hours early, just sitting around talking to people and just, you know, breathing it all in like, holy shit, we're at WrestleMania. And now here's where the negative comes in. And we were wondering after night one why this was. And then the Tech said something that was perfect on night two. American fans suck. Like, I'm not throwing shade. I'll do this in post-production. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see this now. Here's a video of the silence inside the stadium during the Charlotte and Rhea match. Like, it is pin drop silence. And we're trying, Dan and I are doing our best to get the crowd going, you know, table, Shayna, oh, head of the table. Bro, we tried everything. That crowd, crickets. And Dan and I were like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, this is mania. If this was in the UK, the noise would be constant.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, most definite.
It would be off the chain noisy. And it was dead silent. Now, there's an argument to be made about the fact that they get manias more regularly, so it's less of a big deal to them. Sure. But then the Tech pointed this out. He went, think about American sports. What the American fans are really good at, and I say this not in jest, but in like brutal honesty, they're good at taking orders. Think about it. The cheerleaders in NFL, cheer now. Think about it in baseball. Cheer now. And they're very good at cheering when the wrestlers come in. Like Sami Zayn, they did not disappoint. Huge noise, massive pop. John Cena, huge pop. When they are meant to cheer on cue, they're fantastic. The moment that bell goes ding, 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 it goes quiet, mate. And it's not like in Cardiff, the acoustics of the SoFi were amazing, which is weird considering it was an open air stadium, but the acoustics were incredible in that stadium. It carried almost like the O2. It was beautiful in there acoustic wise, but people weren't singing. The moment you get a 1, 2, again, cheer now. All of that shit they were good at. Also, what you realize is the American culture of wrestling in terms of what they like versus us. Bro, it is worlds apart. I was messaging you guys during night one because the guy sitting next to me literally could not stop saying how great the Bray Wyatt LA Knight Mountain Dew dark match was. And it wasn't just one guy. It was like people in front heard that and they were turning around and going, oh, yeah, that was really good. People behind, same thing. And I'm looking going, what the fuck? And I'm saying to people, and I'm genuinely asking, like, what did you like about that? Like, yeah, it was so different. It was really, really entertaining. It wasn't just boring wrestling. And I'm like, oh, wow. Radically different culture. Roman Reigns, like that crowd, boy, was split. People love the tribal chief in America. Like, we like and love the tribal chief in England. Yeah, acknowledge and all that. It's literally tribalistic over there. Like, they wanted Cody's blood. They also boo the weirdest shit. Like, there were people booing Make-A-Wish because of some political agenda. That made me go, what the fuck? Like, you don't make noise for the whole match, and then Make-A-Wish comes on and you boo that shit. They love Shane McMahon over there. Like, he's a hero to them. So it's just, and I was saying all weekend, because, like you do, you meet people, you talk about the fantasy bookings and stuff, and they're like, oh, what do you think's going to happen with the Cena Theory match? And I said, Theory's going to win, but I pitched them, my dream booking, which is Cena wins, goes to Raw, does a US Open, and then Jay White arrives. 9 out of 10 people who I pitched that to went, who's Jay White? And I was like, wow.
Yeah,
fucking hell. No, but it's the casuals, it's insane. And it was people who we were meeting on Century Boulevard on the way to SoFi, people in the stadium. No one watches AEW out there. Like, no one. It is like, they're like AJ with respect. It's like, WWE is my blood. That's the color I bleed. Not that AJ does this, but they're literally like, fuck AEW. Like, one dude who I'm now friends with on Instagram, he was like, AEW's trash. They don't know how to do stories. They don't know how to do booking. Their storylines don't make sense. I'm like, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page? MJF, CM Punk? He's like, yeah, but that's different. WWE's booking is way better. I'm like, you liked the Bray Wyatt match, didn't you? He's like, yeah, that shit was great. I'm like, okay. Not even firing shots. It just shows how different the culture is over there. Like, and not to say the UK fans are more hardcore, but I definitely get that impression. Like, we seem to be in the UK. Like, it's fact, case in point, AEW have got much better TV ratings here in the UK than they do in the US. Like, way better. So there's definitely a wrestling fandom here that's more diversified in terms of what we consume. So watching all of that was fascinating. But now getting into the crux of Mania, like I've told the good and the bad and the ugly and stuff. Bro, night one, when Sami and KO won that tag team championship, it felt like a party in there. Like, the music didn't stop. I'm sure you could see on the screen when it cut and did the whole copyright thing. Yo, people did not leave the stadium then. That music kept on going. People were so fucking happy for Sami and KO. Like, we had to be ushered out the stadium. Like, you need to leave now. It's like, fuck, no, we don't. This is amazing. And when I tell you, when night 2 ended, we did not need to be ushered out. People were like, gone. Like, gone. And I was that guy thinking, because I know I've made a name for myself on the channel by being a proverbial WWE hater, sometimes justifiably, sometimes I'm biased. But I was trying to be objective on this. I was like, hang on. Let's think about this logically. What are they doing with this? AJ's pitched on the show before that, they're going to rebuild Cody. I've never liked that piece of booking. I thought the storyline was ready for, plucking. But it's like, okay, maybe they're going down that route. Then I thought, hang on, they've also just made a massive sale. The last 3 years, they've recorded profits of $1 billion, profits of $1 billion each year, right? Who's been the head of the table each of the last 3 years? Roman. I was like, financially, I'm speculating here, but I was like, maybe it's something to do with the Endeavor deal. Maybe they wanted Roman to stay at the top because clearly if he's at the top, the company makes money. That's just fact. So they're like, part of the deal is Roman stays champ for another year or two. I'm like, I don't like it, but maybe that's a reason. And then fucking Raw after Mania happened. And I was like, nope, that is a burial, an utter burial. And it's such a shame because until that ending, Cody and Roman were putting on a classic. They had me eating up the drama. I thought it was spot festy without being too spot festy. You know, Solo being sent to the back, Cody breaking the guillotine. That shit hasn't happened yet. You know, there was so much good storyline going on, and they were playing it so well. And I just want to also take this opportunity to say Cody Rhodes is a fucking genius, because obviously he knew that he was going to lose. And the fact that he came out with that belt with all of the AW guys on the belt, you know, Dark Order and all of that on there. And then the way he was playing with the crowd, kissing the babies and stuff, that man made everyone in the arena believe, I'm winning this bitch. Cody Rhodes is a genius, but he's unfortunately been buried. Look, I considering it was an open air stadium, I cannot describe to you how it felt being in like a vacuum. It felt like the air had been sucked, like choked. You saw my reaction video. We were looking at each other like, what the fuck just happened? Like
even the guy behind you.
But literally, he looked at us and said, what was that? And that, here's the thing, that guy behind us was a Roman Reigns guy. But even he was like, the story is Cody should win here. As much as I love Roman, Cody should win this. Even the Roman people were like, huh? They were happy afterwards because, you know, banter. It's like, haha, I was right, you were wrong. But in the moment, that stadium went silent. And I don't mean silent in a way like the US fans are not cheering properly. I mean silent in a way like the air was sucked out the arena. Like, and not, it wasn't a nice feeling. It felt kind of like what McMahon did to us all before Daniel Bryan won the title. It felt like, you know, that kind of torturing, that kind of viewership torturing he was doing to people, so that all the way in the build-up to Bryan's title win at Mania, people were still questioning, is he going to do it? Like, it felt good when he did it, but it wasn't pleasant viewing up until that moment because we were so fucking unsure because we were being trolled, right? It felt like all of that smushed together into one moment. It was horrible to experience, like truly horrible. And I'm still deflated from it now because it wasn't. I've been saying again for the longest time, I know regular watchers may say like, Nico, you've been saying for ages, WWE don't surprise you. I'm like, that's true. But I think we can all agree there's surprise like, holy shit, The Rock's come out, or surprise like, I don't know, fucking Dominic beats Ray. There's that. I think that would have been a surprise, but also a logical one within the storyline, right? You could play that one both ways. This felt like, Big Tone, what you've often said The Last Jedi is guilty of. Subversion for the sake of subversion, not with any actual intent. And that's what it felt like, is that you just did this for the fuck of it. It doesn't look like you've got a plan here other than for a squash. Because when you break it down, Roman Reigns, the biggest name in wrestling, irrespective of company, he is the needle mover. That name is accurate. That man and Vince McMahon's favorite big guy, Brock Lesnar, in less than 24 hours, squashed the founder of WWE's biggest rival and finished Raw with that. A double middle finger, which for me was like Brock Lesnar speaking for Vince, giving the bird to the fans, giving the bird to Cody, and giving the bird to AEW. Because they've now fucked Cody. Because if he goes back to AEW now, he looks weak. It's like, I couldn't cut it with the other guys. Oh, I'm coming home with my tail between the legs. He'll be booed. He will be booed. So they fucked him there. And if he stays, he's going to... I reckon Brock's going to fuck him at Backlash.
There's no Vaseline.
Oh, literally bent over with no Vaseline. So that's my like broad thoughts, and like you guys take over here. Which one of you?
Let me jump in here. Now I'm 50-50 with what you just said. Like basically, there's a big, huge part of me that agrees with you 100%. But then, like, I'm also thinking that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just be too optimistic here, but I'm thinking they surely got to be doing this because, like what AJ was saying on pod, is that many people thought that Cody hasn't earned the right to be the one to dethrone Roman after such a historic reign yet, because he's just come back and he's had a handful of matches, really. I think if you put all his matches together, it's probably less than 10. It's definitely less than 15. Yeah.
It's 5 matches.
Yeah, exactly. So they're thinking that, all right, we need to build this guy up in 2023. Yeah. And whether he dethrones Reigns in summer or whether it's all the way to next year, they want to put some meat on the bone. And this is why you do what you do. You make him, it's what I was texting you, Nico, is that they're going for the sympathy route. Yeah. The sympathy route worked for Kofi Kingston. It worked for Daniel Bryan before him. It worked for Sami Zayn. Yeah, that's why Sami becomes such a big star. It worked for Becky Lynch. That's what made her the man. So I'm thinking they're trying this again with Cody, because as you said, everyone went into there thinking that Cody was going to win. Well, Cody was going to be the guy. And then they thought, all right, Cody's going to get some measure of revenge on Raw. But then Brock just waylaid him, smashed the hell out of him, man. An epic beatdown. And then, as you said, the proverbial "I'm back" by Mr. McMahon via Brock with the I can see all of that being a thing. But my hope is that at the end of the day, Vince and Triple H really do see Cody as their guy, because he did start the company when he was 20 years old, did it? Yeah. And I'm sure going back in the negotiations, there must have been talk about this. And I feel Vince McMahon, as much as he likes his big sweaty men as well, yeah, he also likes moments. And I think there's a very big moment to be had with Cody being the first one of the Rhodes family to become the champion. Yeah. Whether he gets both belts, that's up for debate. But I feel there's a big moment, and they're making it simmer a bit more. But my only issue is with that: is it going to work? Is it like Drew at Clash? They had that one opportunity, and they'll never be as big as there was again. Also Sammy at Elimination Chamber, they had that one opportunity, and they're never
happening again.
But I think it might also have the chance to be a little bit different for Cody, because again, they're going to do this push and this build. But we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, look, the only reason, because I love everything you've just said. I don't actually disagree with any of it. The only thing that makes me nervous is that this is a company which had Sting lose to Triple H and which had Booker T being said, people like you don't win. Vince and WWE are notorious and have historical track records of jealousy and spite and airing that laundry very, very publicly. What did Vince do with ECW? December to Dismember. He purposefully booked one of the shittest pay-per-views ever. And then even in the final of that pay-per-view, it was 3 WWE guys, not ECW guys, right? So he even eliminated all the ECW guys on an ECW show. And the show did so badly that he turned around and went, oh, you see, it didn't do well. Cancel ECW. Look at what he did with WCW. Buried them by having Buff Bagwell and Booker T main eventing on Raw. Oh, the fans, we've been telling you for years, boo them. Here you go, main event. Boo them. He knows what he's doing. And were it not for the history, I would love to hear what you're saying, Big Tone. And it could still happen. Listen, Mania 40 is in Philadelphia. This might have been Rocky Part 1. And then Cody Rhodes Roman is Rocky Part 2, where Rocky finally beats Apollo Creed. It can happen. But it's like what you said. I do wonder if that fire is going to be there again. I think this was Cody's Montreal. And I don't know if he's got another one in him. And that's thinking positively that is the route they're going. I personally don't believe that. Nothing would make me happier than to be wrong. But we'll talk about what the future holds for the superstars later on in the show. Let me ask you guys, what was your your most disappointing thing, irrespective of Cody and Roman? Your most disappointing thing about Mania, your favorite match, and your favorite entrance?
Right. So I don't see. I don't really have a disappointing. Well, actually, I do, and I kind of aired it earlier on, and that was the point that Bobby Lashley didn't get a match. There was so much time wasted on both pay-per-views that they could have fitted him and or other superstars, even as the Battle Royal, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, that could have been aired on there. So much time was wasted, and I feel that it was all because of this focus on the sale. Um, I said this earlier, forget about what everyone has done for their craft. Forget what people have worked so hard towards. Oh, because people are gonna get a lot of money. Oh, that doesn't seem to matter anymore. And this includes injuries. This includes people working so hard and then obviously going ahead and botching it in the end and still trying to make things work for the production, for the company, and all of that doesn't matter because of this sale and this merge that they're doing. It was just like ridiculous. My favorite entrance, I have a tie actually, because I loved John Cena's entrance with the Make-A-Wish obviously getting their little spot there as well. That was absolutely spot on. That was.
I love John.
Even on a grand stage like WrestleMania, he still made it about the kids, and that was quite fascinating to see. And the same goes to Bianca Belair, because she also did a similar thing as well on her entrance, where she made it about the kids and not necessarily about her. And she was champ, or she is the champ. So that was good as well. Those are two of my favorite entrances. Um, I'm thinking maybe Omos should have won. I understand the fact that he's green, but how do you prevent that? You make them beat someone who you didn't think that they were going to beat. Personally, if they could do that with Cody Rhodes, they could have done that with Brock, but unless they knew where they were going with this. And as a matter of fact, it would have made perfect sense. Omos beats Brock Lesnar, and then what happened on Raw would have made perfect sense for that. He's bitter because he lost his match at WrestleMania. He's bitter because he lost to a green person. So now all of a sudden now he don't feel like smiling anymore. Yeah, he's just gonna start tearing up the whole show. But instead he won, which made his turn on Raw completely pointless. It was like, well, why? Do you know what I mean? It was, let's be real, it was nothing like, the Shield turning. It was nothing like, things you don't expect to see. It was just like, well, what was the point in that? And on your point of the American fans being like crap and whatnot, Nico,
Quiet, very quiet. Yeah.
it's like they have been conditioned for so long, and the fact that it's over there as well, they have been conditioned for so long that they're just used to the shit now.
Yes.
To them now, it's like this is what WWE is, and I know that definitely wasn't the case in the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
You had security going around telling people to calm down back in them days. Now, it's like, do you know what I mean? People are just leaving on their own accord. I wouldn't be surprised if certain people wanted to leave WrestleMania because of the product that showed all Raw. It just, it was a bit predictable in some areas. The same thing we're saying about Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns and the Philadelphia thing and the Rocky 1 and the Rocky 2. That could have been the same way they treated Asuka as well. So a lot of people believe that she should have won. But it was that versus Bianca Belair is now the street girl at WrestleMania. She's now like big time. She's like big time Belair, like big time Cena.
Whooping 3 matches. Go on, Bianca.
She is. She's got a bit of a streak going on, and I like it. And again, the reason why I predicted her to win instead of Asuka as much as I wanted her to win was because I was thinking WrestleMania is one thing, but the Raw after WrestleMania, forget all the other Raws, 364 days of the year, right? That one Raw after WrestleMania is usually where the big shocks happen. I mean, this is where Paige beat AJ Lee to become the new Divas champion, where nobody expected it. So I was thinking along those lines, thinking, all right, she loses the match, she turns heel, but we didn't see that. So again, a lot of planning, a lot of time wasted there.
Mm.
The next day, again, nothing. No heel turn, no nothing. It was just
So what was your favorite match of the 2 nights?
night one. My favorite match was the tag match, no doubt.
Okay.
As much as I think that Charlotte and Rhea Ripley was a good match, there were some scary spots there where I was just like, ooh. But with the use, is like the story that was being told, it was like the culmination of that story, the end of that story, how it was going to play out. It
Yeah.
could have gone any way. So if the Usos won, I don't think it would have been a shock as much as it was Roman Reigns. But then if Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens won, everybody's happy. And as you explained, Nico, people were partying till security was trying to force you out of the stadium
Yeah.
because people were so happy. And that's how you tell a story. So for me, that was the match of night one. Night two,
Just match of the pay-per-view, I guess. Was that your favorite of the whole pay-per-view?
yeah, I would say the tag team match. Yeah.
Cool. Big Turn. How about you, mate? Like, most disappointing thing, favorite entrance, favorite match?
Okay, so I hate to be that guy, but as much as I love the tribal chief in it, yeah. It was
Excluding Cody and Roman. Excluding Cody and Roman.
Excluded that. Okay.
Yeah, because that's the standout. That's like written in stone. My t-shirt, as I said, I was here the night they fucked Cody. Like,
well, in that case, then I really have to mirror what Leon said. It really did disappoint me that there was no big surprises. Your big surprise was Shane McMahon, who just quads in 20 seconds. Yeah, so it can come out. Is that the best you can really do at WrestleMania? I would have much rather that you do that whole cockamamie segment, yeah, for LA Knight to come out there, chat shit, and then get banged by freaking Bobby Lashley. Yeah, that would have been great for me. Yeah, it would have been a great moment for them both. I would have like put my hands together and allowed the clap.
Oh, by the way, quickly, LA Knight is over as fuck in America.
Of course he is. Like, look, the guy speaking, he oozes charisma. Yeah, let him show it. I mean, WWE do themselves a disservice sometimes. You want stars. You want people who, people are actually invested in. Then let him go out there and have those moments. Yeah, it does him no good, like to be on SmackDown, innit? Yeah, not even make the final 2 of the Battle Royale, and then just not be at WrestleMania at all, even though they're in the hometown. It's like I remember you saying, Nico, in it now, AEW, in it, they know what to do when their wrestlers come to the hometown. Hell, man, look at what happened on Dynamite Wednesday, in it. But I digress. Yeah. As far as entrance goes, yeah, this is one thing about Mania that actually was appealing. They had 4 very good entrances. Yeah. Leon touched on 2 of them. Yeah, with the whole Bianca Belair bringing out the black girls and them all dancing. I thought that was really cool, and you could tell they all lapped it up. And especially as one of the girls' mother passed away the next day. I'm hoping that she got to see her baby on the stage do that. Yeah,
well said.
Yeah. And obviously John Cena just continues to prove that he is a true standout guy. If I ever see him, I'm just gonna give him a hug. I'm like, you know what?
Legit.
Yeah. But damn, man, the most fun match, the most fun entrances has got to be the Rey Mysterio match, man. First, Rey come out in it, yeah, with Snoop Dogg in a low rider to introduce in it, yeah. Then no, sorry, correct. To nothing but a G thing, was it?
Yeah.
And then that switched into Viva Rasa, yeah, of course, man. Like Sheet Steel, great moment, and then finally his music. Brilliant entrance by Ray there. But the one that's gonna take it, because it made me laugh so much, was Dominic Mysterio's entrance. This guy, he spent 6 months in prison, and now he's been treated by Charles Manson. And they do the whole segment like he's the most dangerous man in the world. And like I said, they need to come in with the cops in it. They need to actually walk in with him like Goldberg, and they did. Yeah, so the Mysterio one, that was great fun. Like,
and your favorite match?
Favorite match, yeah, it's got to be the tag match. Because obviously I was just so happy again for Sami Zayn. Because again, he main evented the WrestleMania. That's something no one ever expected for Sami Zayn. Let's be real. And he got it. He won. The elation of the crowd, and KO as well. KO, man, is an overachiever at this point, man, because he was in the main event at last year's WrestleMania.
2 years in a row.
I was very proud of KO for that. But he's done it 2 years back to back.
Yeah.
And they get to have their own little Guerrero Benoit moment with them both standing in the ring holding up titles. Now,
just missing the confetti.
Yeah, look, exactly. That's the only thing I was saying, isn't it? Yeah, where's the confetti? Yeah, but if we look at that moment, if you're gonna, you can throw shade on the tag division all you want, but if we're gonna end the 600-day title reign, that's how you do it. Main event WrestleMania. It's not going to be done again. The tag titles are never going to be defended in the main event of WrestleMania again.
No. Yeah, well, old man McMahon's there.
Exactly. Sabi or KO probably ain't going to be in that main event again. So it was nice, and that was my favorite match. But I do want to shout out, though, the quality of both women's titles matches. Unfortunately, I think people acknowledge the Rhea and Charlotte one, but people might have stepped a bit on the Bianca Asuka one, but they were both fantastic wrestling matches. Yeah, it's just unfortunate where they were on the card. Yeah, and again, there was just more hype for the other matches.
So that actually tangents really nicely into something that disappointed me, and Den clocked it instantly, and he says that whenever he's been to a WrestleMania, it's been like that. And I know I put this in the group, and AJ was like, I disagree, but it's difficult for me to say what it was like being in the apartment with you guys. But what I can tell you is they pump noise into that stadium. Like, case in point, one thing they were doing, when that guy came out to do the conducting for the Seth Rollins, whoa, that wasn't the crowd. That was the speakers. They were pumping noise into the stadium. And it wasn't like, oh, I can just about hear it. It's like, no, that shit was loud. Like, they were pumping that noise into the stadium live. And what Den noticed, not the noise pumping, but like the way the women are booked, they're the kind of beer break, but not really, because the quality of the women in this year was legitimately good, to be fair. On all 4 matches, there were class act women in all the matches. So it wasn't so much beer break in terms of the stars that were in the matches, but they were using them as kind of like the fan recovery matches. Like, they were always following a big match. Like, Charlotte and Rhea followed Rey and Dominic. And I can tell you, from having been in that stadium, people were fucking exhausted at the end of that match. Likewise, the Trish, Lita, Becky against Damage Control, I'm pretty sure that followed Seth and Logan. And people likewise were dead after that match. So one of the most disappointing things for me was sadly seeing how they were booking the women as kind of like the let the fans catch their breath match, because they had no atmosphere. Now, again, I don't know if you guys heard that lack of atmosphere back home, but it was, nah, we're tired. We need to breathe. We need to go to pee. We need to go buy our beer, blah, 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 blah. And every single women's match was booked like that.
I can answer that if you want. Basically, the production values were very good because people seemed very into the Charlotte match. Not so much the Bianca Asuka match.
So we'll come to that because so it's very interesting you mentioned the Charlotte match. But I'll come to that in a moment. But let's put that one aside. The other 3 matches, very much recovery matches, including Bianca and Asuka. Most aside from that, the other thing I was really disappointed by, you've kind of touched on it, both of you, with the Miz's spots, doing it 2 nights in a row. And we got Pat McAfee and we got Shane McMahon. And it's like,
Pat McAfee.
bro, it's like, I love Pat McAfee, but don't do that to people when the stadium is expecting The Rock. Like, we realized after night 1, we were very clear, Rock's not coming. We knew. The moment night 2 started, I was asking everyone, no one thought The Rock was coming at that point. We were like, cool, we've made peace with it. Move on, enjoy the pay-per-view. There was no bad feeling. There was a little bit of it's a shame. And there was kind of an acknowledgement of, I don't think it's ever going to happen now. Like, the ship sailed. It's probably not going to happen now.
I even tried to give them a bit of credit. Yeah, as soon as I heard that "Here Comes the Money," I was like, you know what? At most WrestleManias, and if not every, anytime there's a McMahon that comes out, Stone Cold comes out and gives one of them a start. Someone in that family a stun. And I was really, for the love of God, hoping that we would hear a glass smash, or it might have been pointless with the "if you smell," because he really has. If he's going to make an entrance, it's not going to be for that match.
No, for sure.
But something where it makes the crowd go absolutely crazy. I mean, case in point example: as soon as Rey Mysterio played "Viva la Raza," I mean, you were there, so that must have been the loudest pop ever. Like, we felt that pop all the way back in the UK as soon as they played that music. So could you imagine, hearing the glass shatter, or even if you were going to debut someone like Jay White, then obviously it's too late now, but even if you were going to introduce a big name, then should I say, that would have been the moment to do it, and it just didn't happen.
Correct. And so this is
a guy like Bron Breakker.
You took the words out of my mouth. So this is what fundamentally annoys me, is that they chose to make Pat McAfee and Shane McMahon centerpieces. They could have had Matt Riddle return at WrestleMania and bust up The Miz. They could have debuted Bron Breakker. They could have had LA Knight come out instead of The Miz. There were so many more interesting choices they could have made than just the boss's son. And as much as I love him, Pat McAfee. But in terms of the best entrance, it was Viva la Raza for me. Ray's my favorite fucking wrestler in the world, as you know. So seeing him do that entrance with Snoop in a lowrider, the respect to Eddie Guerrero, the pop. Well, I mean, I actually got a notification on my Apple iWatch saying the decibel levels just exceeded 95. Prolonged exposure to this noise can make you temporarily deaf. I was like, okay, so some noise came out of this one then, and it wasn't pumped in. So that was my favorite entrance. Now, in terms of favorite match, I'm going to come back to Charlotte Rhea here, because that was my favorite match. And here's why. Because the way that match started, and again, credit to Dan the Tech for pointing this out, he likened that match to when he watched Shawn Taker. Not in terms of it being a legacy match, even though it was fantastic. I wouldn't put it quite on the same level as Shawn and Taker. But what Dan told me about his experience with Shawn and Taker is that match started quite dry and the wrestlers won the crowd over. Charlotte and Rhea started fucking quiet. Like, people cheered when they came out, but for the first 5 to 7 minutes of that match, it was very quiet. And then the near falls, the 2.99 started coming in, and the crowd, it was, you could feel it boiling. And it was really interesting to be in a stadium that size and experience that, to feel it, the crescendo, like rising until the whole stadium was on their feet going, 1, 2, it was literally like you saw on TV. Those two ladies won over a crowd that was exhausted, put on possibly the best match of the weekend in terms of wrestling ability, possibly. And it was fascinating to see, like, the two of them. Also, I just want to say, as much as I love Rhea Ripley, as much as I love John Cena and Rey Mysterio, Charlotte Flair in that environment, oh my God, her star power. her star power, like it's not like anything she does. It's not like she's playing to the crowd. It's just natural. It's like what you were saying about LA Knight. It's that natural charisma she's got. It's like you're just zoning in on her, and it's her natural aura. She's got this presence about her on the big stage, and it was amazing to watch the two of them work. So Charlotte Rhea was personally my favorite match of the weekend.
And Charlotte really took some bumps in that match as well. Like, so I've got to give her kudos for continuing on. She got German suplex on her face twice off the top rope, and a standing release one as well. And she carried on as if nothing ever happened. If that was any other female, the referee would have been putting the crosses up, because
completely.
You know, not only is she amazing, not only does she stand out, not only is she just adorable, she's literally like, you know, she's just amazing. She's absolutely amazing, and she's a credit for the women's division for that company, most definitely.
She is. Speaking just quickly before we move on, because we've kind of covered WrestleMania now, but speaking of X's, they were going to throw the X up for the Finn Balor match. I just want to throw so much love toward, because did you see the cut on his head? Have you seen it on Instagram?
Yeah. No. We saw the blood dripping in the ring when
Bro, he looks like he's had a fucking hoodie zipper on his head now. Like, it's the referee was about to throw the X up, and Balor grabbed him and went, "Don't you fucking dare!"
We saw that as well.
They put a numbing agent on him, and then at ringside stapled, not sewed, not butterfly stitched, stapled his head shut. And what was really sweet, we saw it on the big screens. I don't know if they showed that on the live at yours, but the camera caught it at a moment where Edge was leaning into him, and you could mouth read it. He went, "Thank you, brother," and it was like, that right there is going to be a moment that I remember, even though they're not going to make a big deal of it. Just the fact that Balor took a shot like that and then kept going, because he was like, "This is a Hell in a Cell match at Mania. I'm not going to be thrown out of this." Like, maximum respect. Maximum respect.
Yeah, because we wouldn't want to get another mistake like Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins again, because of the fact that in Hell in a Cell, there's no disqualifications. It's meant to be brutal. It's meant to, I mean, look at the first Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Look at any Hell in a Cell, as a matter of fact. Look at the one with Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. Look at the one with Triple H and Randy Orton. Triple H and Shawn Michaels. You could name any one, and the brutality.
The big one, Mick Foley.
Yeah. So people would have been scratching their heads if, when Balor got busted open, that the referee would have exited it. Do you know what I mean? And we saw that moment when he grabbed the referee to say, "Don't stop it," and sort of thing. And the way he grabbed him, it was like he broke kayfabe almost to tell him, "Do not stop this match."
Yeah.
I can't remember if we saw Edge saying "Thank you, brother," because at the same time, what we did see though was Edge really thinking whether to break kayfabe or to keep in kayfabe, because we could see him checking to see if he was okay. Then we saw him looking around the ring like as if to say he was having that little psycho moment, like, do you know what I mean? Like he was going to start setting up apparatus and start setting up evil devices and stuff. So, like, in terms of working on the fly as well, I know they've done it, like, you know, most of their career. But on a big stage like that, many people can fall or fail or whatever, and they played to it. Even during injury, they played to it, and I've got to give them credit for that, because and the fact that they got praised for it as well. Because if Vince was in charge then we probably would have been hearing about two people being released, or at least one of them, anyways.
Correct. So
let me give two more shout outs before we move on.
Go on.
First, quickly, want to shout out Logan Paul and Seth Rollins match. That was a lot of fun at home. I don't know how it felt in the arena, and I don't know how the actual reaction was when KSI showed up, but AJ jumped out of his seat. I was right.
Yeah, AJ called it as well, and it was him.
That was a very fun moment. Yeah. The second moment I want to actually shout out. Talking of injuries, I want to shout out Snoop Dogg and The Miz for being the country professionals. And Shane busted both his quads, just like his daddy, like Father Lexon. Somehow Snoop on the fly just knew to get up there, finish the match, hit the Snoop Dogg people's elbow, which has got one of the most highest views on Instagram and like TikTok, all of that of all time. So you know what? Kudos to Snoop Dogg in his WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
I thought I'd give another shout out to The Miz as well, because I think he genuinely took a punch to the face as well in that. Like, we heard it, right? And you could hear that flesh on bone type of smack. And I don't know if you noticed, yeah, but he looked like he had a little bit of a black eye on Raw the next day, but I digress. But at the end of the day, as Big Tone literally just said, in his words, I will say then, like, literally, consummate professionals. Miz took it like a champ, and kudos for Snoop for like literally saving that segment there.
So in that sense, WrestleMania 39 literally had a bit of everything. I can tell you from being there, the show they put on was quite the spectacle. There were some matches that I will remember forever for both the right and wrong reasons. There was some unfortunate album filler. They gave us some good moments. They had some story paid off. They made some terrible creative decisions with certain things. Lots of missed opportunities with others. Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, Rey Mysterio. So trying to put a positive spin on it, despite the fact that I cannot stress this enough, how deflated people were at the end of that event. WrestleMania 39 weirdly had a bit of everything. So it is, I guess, a nice way to close off season 2. Not that we have a choice in the matter, but that is the end of our predictions for season 2. And it ends with the final scores of AJ on 6, myself, Big Tone, and Den all on 7, and Leon with a total pay-per-view winning of 8, making the new champion, Mr. Simsy. So, yeah, look, I'm bitter about the fact that it got so close to me, but look, I got to show love. 3 clean sweeps in a row is no small matter. So you are the champ for season 3, my friend.